All right, everyone. Oh, let me let these last people in here. Okay, Riley is here, and Ramses is here. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully, you guys had a good weekend. Looked like a lot of the smoke had cleared out, so that was nice. Although I noticed it was starting to smell a little smoky today, so I don't know if smoke's going to be rolling back in this week again, too. I know the winds were kind of kicking up this weekend. Hopefully, you enjoyed it and you had a good time off. It's hard to believe, but we're already in week 7 of this stuff. It's week 7 of the distance learning, so it's going by so quick. Yeah, that's a good question. You brought up the lung cancer, and I don't think anyone really knows what the long-term effects of this kind of stuff is. It's kind of hard to tell with humans because you can't isolate a human down to one cause like you can with science. So obviously it's going to probably affect our lungs. It might affect our skin, maybe our kidneys, any of the other like filtering devices in our body. It probably will have some kind of effect on us though, and it could be a long-term one. Unfortunately, we live here in the valley, and while it is one of the greatest places on the planet to live, it does trap a lot of smog. And so that's one thing we have to deal with here in California, especially if you're in the Central Valley, is it does trap a lot of smog here. So it's something we're trying to avoid. I saw the governor just put out a new thing. He wants to get rid of all gasoline powered cars, but I think it was like 2035 or something, around 15 years from now. So pretty ambitious plan. I don't know if I like it or not. When I first heard it, I was scared to death because I thought he was getting rid of all gas-powered cars, which would get rid of one of my loves in the world, which is old cars. I love like the cars from like the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, even 80s. I love like all those old cars, and so I was so afraid that they were going to go away too. But I guess it's just new cars, so all the new cars will have to be electric, which we did have Tesla Motor Company here, and then he got in a fight with Tesla. The governor got in a fight with Tesla about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, over this COVID stuff, and Tesla pulled out. And so we're not going to have Tesla here in California anymore, which is very, very disappointing to drive out the electric car company that might become the preeminent electric car company and then drive them into another state. So I was really sad to see all of our businesses leave California, but man, that one hit hard because as a robotics person, I love Tesla, I love the electric powered cars, and to lose all of those robotics jobs here just hit me really hard. I thought that was really dumb. Yes, Tesla is still fine. They're doing good. For all we know, they'll do even better in the new state. I think they're moving to Nevada or Arizona. I can't remember which one. But yes, Tesla is still in business. They're just moving the physical location of their manufacturing, which sucks for us. We want all those companies here in California, but unfortunately, we are not very business friendly here in California, and we end up pushing a lot of businesses out. So that's a sad thing. Hopefully, it's not going to come back and bite us too hard in the future, but it may. So that was sad losing that company. Oh, Elijah got here. Okay. Yeah. Especially as future robotics people, we want all those jobs here in California where we can work them. Let's see here. Okay. And I know I've already told you guys, Tesla is one of the preeminent companies when it comes to robotics and manufacturing and sophisticated GPS tracking and like cars that drive themselves. So they're integral for the future of robotics. They're going to be a big player in the game. All of the Tesla companies, their battery company, their car company, SpaceX, all those things that Elon Musk is in. We would love all those things to be here in California just because they fit what we want so perfectly. But unfortunately, they're not here right now. Yeah, Amazon is what Amazon really became a leader in is so what Amazon is perfectly well known for is they have automated the whole means of warehousing. So when you go into a warehouse, it used to be scores and scores of people would be in there picking goods off of shelves, organizing things, having shipments come in, putting them on shelves, having shipments go out, putting them on trucks, and processing them like that. And what Tesla has done is totally automated that system. And if you go look at some of, Amazon, and what Amazon's done is completely automate that system. And they're some of the premier robotics designers for that kind of equipment, things that load and unload, process things onto shelves, keep track of them, and organize all of that. So they've like streamlined the flow of that in and out of warehousing beyond probably what only roboticists could imagine. So they're amazing at that. That's one thing they've just excelled at. And Amazon is hiring like crazy too right now. If you guys were just a little older, you could go apply for Amazon and get in on the ground floor as they're just really exploding. Like people like me that work for Amazon right now, you're in really good shape because when the expansions happen, a lot of people get promoted as they bring in the new people. So it's a good time to be at a business when it expands. Got to go to a doctor's appointment. Okay, no problem. I'll see you tomorrow. We're just going to do a little notes today. We're not even going to write the notes. I just want to talk about them a little bit. No, I do not work at Amazon. That's not the kind of thing I would want to do. Yeah, that doesn't interest me much. I'm sure there's some jobs there that I'd really like, but it's not something I'm interested in. But it's a company that's growing and expanding a lot. Yeah, there's some really cool robots that Amazon has. Like I said, especially the picking and moving robots. They have some that like can balance on two wheels, kind of like segways and stuff. They looked kind of like dinosaurs, actually. They're pretty cool looking. So lots and lots of robots, and they're coming out with them all the time. Okay, so let me go through these notes here. Again, I'm going to cover some notes today, but you don't have to write these notes down, okay? These are not ones that need to be written. I just want you to know them for your knowledge base, but you don't have to write them down, okay? Let's see here. Okay, we got that. All right, so let me share my screen with you guys here. And don't let me go too long because I know today is super short. Share screen, there we go. Okay, so I had several I wanted to cover, but again, they're not important enough to need to write. I just wanted to go through them with you. So remember, whenever you work around electricity, you want to avoid water at all costs. Standing in water, wet clothing, high humidity, if you're sweating, all of those things make moisture, and moisture is going to add conductivity to you and make it so that yeah, I know these short days go by really quick, especially Mondays. So anytime you introduce moisture around electricity, be extra, extra careful, okay? You see in the picture how there's a cord sitting in puddles of water. You'll see this all over the place. Be very careful when you see that. You would not ever want to grab that cord, okay? So even though that cord is insulated with rubber and normally it shouldn't shock you, when it's covered in water, it's going to reduce the resistance. So I have to stress that to you guys. Everyone in this class should understand that. Water and electricity do not mix. If you see water around something electrical, do not touch that thing, okay? Do not touch it. Very important safety. Distilled water doesn't have any impurities, which is the main advantage of it. The more impurities something has, the more it's going to conduct electricity. But even still, I would stay away from water. Water's not a great conductor, but you don't want to add it to your, keep it away from electrical. Okay, let's see here. I think I showed you this one already, but just to make sure, see how this one has 3 plug prongs on it? Then the bottom prong is missing. That's the ground prong. That's a very common one to be missing. Sometimes people break it off to fit their plugs, and sometimes it just breaks off. But if you see that ground prong missing, then that tells you that there's no ground wire being used in that circuit. So even though there's a wire in there, it's not connected to anything. And so if something were to go wrong and you touch that wire, it's much more likely that the electricity flows through you and not through that ground wire. That ground wire is supposed to protect you, and it does a pretty good job of that, but it has to be there to do that, okay? So if you see that missing, it needs to be replaced. We'll actually replace one of those in class, so you'll see how to do it. It's really simple to do. Okay, let's do this one here. Okay, this one I want to remember. Electricity can shock you. Some electricity is going to make you clamp and like be rigid in place. Some electricity is going to shock you and throw you back. Some electricity is also going to just kind of stun you and you can fall. So be very careful of falls. We always think of being up on scaffolding or ladders, but you can also fall just standing or even kneeling or sitting. So be very careful of that stuff. As electrical students, you should know we're never going to have an open box like this. We will always want all of the boxes closed up. They have plastic coverings on them. If you ever see one of those that's cracked or broken, you should replace it right away. As an electrician student, that's an easy job for you. You could safely do it. And the plates only cost $1, $2, $3. So if you see a cracked plate, replace it with a good one right away, okay? Oh, what else did I want? Let's do this one first. So remember, these are things that are going to protect you. So we're going to talk about 3 things, one of which is a fuse. Okay, the fuses are on these bottom right corner. This is one type of fuse. We'll work with a couple fuses in this class. I'm going to actually have you test fuses and learn how to do it. That'll be one of the first things you do in here. See how the fuse has a copper connection on the top and the bottom? So there's a wire that runs in between those, and the job of that wire is to burn up if it takes too much current. If it burns up, it creates an opening in there and no electricity can flow through. Let's see here, hold on, I'm getting a question. 2-prong plug. If you have a 2-prong plug, doesn't matter how you plug it in. And the answer is yes and no. Not really. It doesn't really matter which way you plug it in because most of the things that we do are alternating current. So if you plugged in a 2-prong plug in our house upside down, all that would happen would be it would be out of phase from what it's supposed to be, which has no bearing on the equipment whatsoever. It doesn't do anything to it. So that would not matter at all. Our electricity, which we'll learn about in the next, when we start talking about basics of electricity, it alternates back and forth, positive to negative, negative to positive, and it just alternates. So if you plug it in upside down, the alternation just flips. It just starts with 2 instead of 1, doesn't do anything. So that doesn't matter. However, they are usually idiot-proofed so that you cannot put them in backwards. Usually one has a bigger prong than the other, and so you're not supposed to be able to put them in backwards, but it doesn't really matter on a 2-prong. Okay, what else? Okay, so then we've got, let's leave that one. Let's leave that one for last because that's the most complicated. Okay, this one here is a circuit breaker. Remember, circuit breakers are just like fuses that can be brought back to life. So whereas the fuse gives its life up and it's dead forever, you have to throw it away and put a new one in. A circuit breaker, all you have to do is throw the switch and it will reset the circuit. Sometimes when you reset it, it'll blow instantly again. If that happens, you guys need to know there's some kind of electrical problem and you need to fix it before you throw the circuit breaker again. Okay, you do not want to keep throwing that thing and have the potential of something catching fire. So if the circuit breaker blows and then you go and reset it and then it instantly blows again, you got to figure out what's wrong. It might be you just have too many things plugged in and on at the same time, or you might have an internal problem. So you got to figure out what it is before you keep resetting that thing. Yes, the more water is dirty, the more conductive it'll be. You will actually reset some of these in our class. I'll show you what it looks like when they get thrown. Everyone will do it as part of one of your tests, but actually, I don't have time today, but remind me tomorrow. I'll bring the monitor over and I'll actually show you, okay? So please remind me tomorrow, I'll show you in action. But basically when it trips, the switch will be moved to somewhere in the middle. You have to turn it all the way off and then flip it all the way on and it will be reset. So I'll show, if you remind me tomorrow, I'll show you. That'll be a good thing to show in class. Okay, and then the third one I wanted to show you is this GFCI. We'll spend a lot more time doing this GFCI, but this is ground fault circuit interrupters. And these are the plugs that you see. I don't know if you can see it on here, but it's the one that has the 2 buttons on it. Some plugs have 2 buttons, some have 1. But you can reset the circuit. You'll see these things in your bathrooms and kitchens, garages, and anything outdoors. It's required to have this GFCI. And what it does is it tries to sense if there's a ground fault. So if electricity is going somewhere that it shouldn't go, it's supposed to sense this. So the idea is that if electricity is going through your body and not where it's supposed to, that this plug can detect it. It does it really, really, really fast. I forgot, like, I'll have to look it up, but when I go through the notes, it's like 1/30th of a second or something. It's really fast. And it senses it and breaks the circuit so that it doesn't electrocute people. A big one I was hearing about last year, because there was a couple stories that went around with it, is pools. People were turning the lights on their pools and getting shocked and electrocuted to death because they were in a pool that was having electric current in it. And all of the new regulations for pools, you're supposed to have this ground fault circuit interrupter in it. And not all old pools have that. So it's an important safety feature. And we just had a couple stories in the news on it last year. So I was bringing it up to all the students. But these are supposed to interrupt current flows to keep you from getting shocked. Why can't every outlet have a GFCI? You could actually put a GFCI. Somebody asked, why doesn't every outlet have them? And you could put them on every outlet, but typically they're only in places that are going to encounter water or moisture. So like I said, outside, garages, bathrooms, kitchens, laundry rooms. So that's typically where you're going to see them. They're more expensive. They're a lot more expensive. So a normal plug is probably $2, $1 or $2, and a GFCI is about 15 to 30. So the expense is probably one reason why people don't, but you could actually put them in every room. Yeah, you have to have the watertight lights. Yeah, exactly. Very, very true. Okay, I think that's going to be it for today. That was, oh wait, that one too. Just wanted to remind you guys about this one too. This is something all electrical students should know. Those power lines that you see out in the neighborhoods, those are not insulated. There's no rubber around those wires. So if you threw something like a wet rope over those wires, they would conduct electricity and shock you. So it's very important that you don't mess with those power lines, especially if they fall to the ground, okay? If they fall to the ground, you need to call 911 immediately and stay away from them and keep other people away from them, because there's a lot of morons out there and they're not going to know how dangerous those are. But 13,000 volts of electricity with those power lines. So it's very, very important to not mess around with those. So if you see those fall to the ground, get away from them quickly, call 911. The other thing I was going to say too, if you're ever in a car accident, okay, this happens fairly regularly. Someone gets in a car accident and hits a telephone pole and drops those lines. So if you are ever inside of your car and those lines drop across your car or sitting around your car, you need to stay in your car. Okay, it's very, very critical that you do not get out of your car, because what happens is those lines will be draping across your car. The person will step out, and as soon as your feet touch the ground, the electricity now can go through you and it can kill you. So when you're in your car, the electricity can't get to the ground because the tires are insulating you. You have those rubber tires. So I try to tell my electricity students 2 things. If you ever see a down power line, you stay the hell away from it and call 911 immediately, and get any other idiot away from it too, because they could be killed very quickly. But if it ever happens that you're in a car accident, you hit one of those, or the car in front of you does it, or any of those, and those lines are draped across your car or near your car, do not get out of your car, okay? Your car might be saving your life, and if you get out, that could be electrocute you. So call 911 from inside of your car. Do not get out of it. Wait for the emergency personnel to get there. No, Suleiman, they are not insulated. Those wires are bare wires typically. So they're up out of the way from people, so they're not usually a danger. So they're not insulated because that would cost a lot of extra money. So yeah, don't mess around with those power lines. Faraday cage. No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't say that. No, I wouldn't say that, Michael. Okay, we're just out of time here. We only got 1 minute left, so I'm going to let you guys go. Hopefully you had a good weekend, and I will see you guys back here tomorrow, okay? And tomorrow we'll actually start basic electricity.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.